everybody. Hello, Noor. Hello, Pasi. Hello, Santeri.
Yes, hello, Donatella.
Great. Hi, I'm Donatella Fitzgerald, and I'm joining you from Pearson here in Rome, in Italy, but I'm actually from London. Noor, where are you today?
Yes, I'm in Turkey, and we have very nice and lovely weather here. And where are you, Santeri?
Well, I'm living in Helsinki, Finland, and we actually have also sun here, so we are not that far away from Turkey, I guess.
That's great. And Pasi, where are you today?
Well, hello everyone. I'm joining in from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and we don't have sun yet because it's 4 o'clock in the morning at the moment.
Good. And we've got lots of teachers here today. Can you all write in the chat where you're from? Let's see where people, oh, we got Vanessa from Italy. Fantastic. Vanessa owns a chain of schools here in Italy, so that's great to see you. We've got Katerina, we've got Patty. Hello, lovely, lovely to see you all. Well, we'll begin now, and it's great to have you all here today with us. I'm not sure if it's morning or afternoon where you all are, but we were just talking about this is the absolute wonders of Zoom, that we can all be here from different countries. And yeah, Vanessa says, Pasi, well done for the 4 o'clock start. Absolutely. So it's a great honor here for us today to have the wonderful Pasi and Santeri from Seppo. Now, I'll introduce Dr. Pasi Lohman. He's a Finnish gamification expert with over 10 years of experience as an English teacher. So gamification and English, a fantastic combination. He holds a PhD in classics from the University of Nottingham in the UK and has studied gamification at the Fundação Getúlio Vargas and Universidade Anhembi Morumbi in São Paulo, Brazil. Excuse my pronunciation there. He's the director of Seppo in Brazil, and his online gamification workshops and webinars have been watched by thousands of people. So welcome, Pasi.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. This entire cooperation with Pearson has been a pleasure, continues to be a pleasure. And so, yeah, I'm sure we're going to have a nice 1 hour together again, playing a game.
Absolutely. And Noor?
Yes, I want to introduce Santeri Yakola, and he's the head of trainer and game producer in Seppo. And he's a long-time gaming and game culture enthusiast with 30 years of experience, a love for games combined with a background in pedagogy and communication studies brought him to Seppo 5 years ago, I think. Yes,
yeah.
Santeri, yeah. And Santeri consults on gamification for education and corporate settings from Seppo headquarters in Finland. And welcome, Santeri.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always nice to see when people are interested about gamification because, as mentioned, I'm always talking about gamification for different people. It's whether they are kindergarten teachers or whether they are HR professionals in a company. Usually the aim is to gamify something. We want to bring game mechanics and engage people, and it's just a blast to see how people's light bulbs turn on when they see how do you do the gamification and why to do it, because in the end, everybody likes to play, everybody wants to play, and that's the thing. I'm really eager to see how do you feel about our webinar today.
Fantastic. And in fact, you mentioned light bulbs and light bulb moments, and I'm sure you will all have those today. Well, let's move on now. And today, Santeri and Pasi are going to take us through an introduction to gamification. Let's play, making the most of gamification in the English language learning with young learners. And Seppo have developed all of the games for Shine On, the new Pearson primary course. So it's a very exciting moment. So thank you, Santeri and Pasi.
Excellent. Thank you for that introduction. And since we are talking about gamification, we're going to do this webinar in a slightly different way from maybe many other webinars that you might have seen before. So we're not going to use any PowerPoint slides. We're going to play a game. And there's two ways that you can participate. You can simply watch us playing the game and having a conversation on the topics inside the game. Or if you want, you can capture, scan this QR code that you can see on your screen and actually play the game with us. Or you can also play on your computer by going to a different browser and put play.seppo.io and use this pin EE7GG1. And I believe one of the moderators will also put the link to the game into the chat. And this game will also be available after this webinar. So hopefully many of you can join in, but you can also simply watch us playing. So I'm going to copy this pin and go to play.seppo.io, log in as a player. I'm going to put the pin over here and click continue. And I'm going to choose a name for our team. It could be your own name, or I'll put Santeri and Pasi. So we're going to play together.
This is always the most difficult part when you are trying to come up with a creative name.
Correct. So then it gives you a code that you could use to return to the game if you don't finish at one sitting. But let's just start the game. All right. So we have a Pearson gamification webinar game, which has 7 exercises divided into 4 levels. And the maximum amount of points that you can get in this game is 10,000. So good luck, everyone. Let's click play. And here's the game story. Future teaching methods. Pedagogy and teaching methods in ancient Egypt were primitive. Pharaoh Sinuheb noticed that students were not engaged nor motivated to learn. He wanted to change this. So he decided to send a group of explorers to the future in a time machine lent to him by aliens to study future teaching methods. And you are one of the explorers. So let's help the Pharaoh. Here are the game rules. Click on the pink icons to open exercises. So in the game board, you will soon see some pink icons, and those are where the exercises are. Answer the questions to travel from ancient Egypt to modern UK, and from there to an unknown city in the future, and finally back to ancient Egypt. So good luck, let's play. All right, so we have now arrived in ancient Egypt. We're using 360-degree game boards in this game, just like we use in the Rise&Shine 360 Seppo games. So this will be familiar with your students very soon. So here's the pink icon for the first exercise. Let's open and get started on our adventure. Welcome to ancient Egypt. Your time travel adventure starts with a simple question. Are games and gamification the same thing? So this is also the first question for you, Santeri, and people watching. What do you think, Santeri?
I would really love to hear from the chat that what is the common consensus with all of us who are participating at this moment. But from the background that I have, I think I will choose no, games and gamification are not the same thing.
Okay, let's click no. Games and gamification are not the same thing, and send the answer. And let's see, how did you do on the first question? Yes, well done, Santeri.
Nice.
500 points. And we are already starting our time travel adventure. We left ancient Egypt and arrived in an office or a laboratory kind of setting somewhere in London, UK.
Pasi, before we are heading to the next exercise, I'm really interested, since you were asking about difference between gamification and games, do you play any games?
Well, I do. I wouldn't be what many people call a gamer because I don't really enjoy playing PlayStation or Xbox, this kind of video games. I don't have any device like that at home, but I play a lot of games. I play board games, I play card games. I do like the Wordle game that is so popular around the world at the moment. I'm sure many of the teachers like that too. What about you, Santeri?
Yeah, well, if you say that you wouldn't call yourself a gamer because you have the idea of playing video games, I guess I fall into that category because I really love to play games. For me, playing games is a thing to connect with my friends and my family. I have now 11-month-old child who is actually trying to bang the door at the moment, trying to get into the office. But that time restriction is tight sometimes. And when I get then with my friends together every now and then, I really love to play games. But the thing is, I think playing games is really enjoyable for everyone, because it just depends what kind of games you want. And if you have the idea that games are only the video games, then you might be fooled by the idea that you are not a gamer. Anything from board games, from sports, even for some reality TV shows like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, when you are watching it, you are practically playing it at the same time, because you are thinking, do I know this answer? Would I use a lifeline? Who is the friend I should call if I want to know answer for the difficult question? So we all really enjoy playing things. It's just that we have to find the ways what games we enjoy.
Very good. And of course, for young learners, they all love playing. And again, they might like different kinds of games. Like sometimes I've heard a teacher say that, oh, in my group, they're not gamers. That's why I'm not using gamification. But as you just brought up, there are so many different types of games, and all children, all young learners love playing games. It's something natural. So it's great when we can bring it into education as well. So let's then have a closer look at what is the difference between games and gamification. So welcome to Laboratory X in London, UK. Watch this short video to find out what's the main difference between games and gamification. So here we go.
Yes, come on! 5,000 points. I'm already in the 5th level. Yes! Games are so much fun, aren't they? But do you know what's the main difference between games and gamification? The objective of games is pure entertainment, having fun. Gamification uses many of the game elements, the mechanics of games, but the objective of gamification is to achieve a goal, some kind of objective in the real life. Maybe it's to learn new things or to change behavior. So games are for entertainment. Gamification is to achieve your goals in the real world. Often it's to do with education or training of some kind. I'm gonna continue this Seppo game. It's so much fun. Yes, come on, more points.
All right. So Santeri, did you pay attention? Your next task is to know the difference between games, gamification, and entertainment.
Yes.
Games.
I think the easy one here is that games are the fun is the objective. Sometimes it's less fun when you are when you are learning the game at the start, but the fun is the ultimate object.
That's right. And gamification.
That's achieving an objective in the real world. So it seems that because it's scrambling all the time, the answers we have now for randomize it to a correct order here.
That's right. But
it's a bit easier for us.
Yes, but for somebody who's playing this at home, it might be in different order. That's how Seppo works. So in our case, they were in the same place, but it's scrambled for others. So edutainment would be entertainment, which also has some educational element. So
yeah.
Is that your final answer, Santeri?
Yes, I'm looking at the chat if there's someone disagreeing with me. No, there's no one disagreeing. Let's go with this. Lock the answer.
Let's send. Yes, maximum points again. Well done.
Nice.
Good. Let's then look for the second task in this level. Here we have, and it's about the game mechanics. So the scientists at the Laboratory X have done a lot of research, and they have proven that gamification methodology really works. And for people of all ages, from young learners to adults. We learned earlier that gamification uses game mechanics to engage and motivate people. so that they achieve their objectives in the real world. But what are the game mechanics that engage and motivate people? Your task now in this game is to tick all the correct alternatives below. We have a list of possible game mechanics. And if you need help, you can visit this website that opens in another page to actually study the subject, game mechanics in this case. So really, gamification can be to teach new things. It doesn't necessarily have to only be about testing existing knowledge, be a quiz, which is a kind of a gamification, but you can do so much more with gamification and actually study, teach, and learn new things. But of this list, Santeri, which ones would you pick as game mechanics used in gamification?
Well, I already know a few of them, and I'm going to start with badges and awards. But while I'm talking about badges and awards, I would love to get some help in the chat. Everyone who is at the moment participating and listening and seeing us, type in the chat some of these mechanics that you think that are gamification, so I can then bring them up and come up with some examples. But I'm going to start with the badges and awards. So basically, badges are symbols of accomplishment that you gain during the game. Usually in a game, you might get some quantitative feedback, like points that are accumulating during the game playing time. But badges can be really a qualitative way of showing that you have done well, you have achieved something, and motivate you to continue on. So that's for the badges. And awards is also one way of bringing extrinsic motivation for the game. So sometimes when we are learning, the students don't have the intrinsic motivation to learn something. Maybe they don't like the subject, or maybe there's something else that interferes with their motivation. Then for those kind of students, we can help them keep their interest for the topic with giving this extrinsic motivation. So maybe there's a prize, maybe there's some kind of award for the student. I learned from one teacher here in Finland who taught primary school, that they had a strict rule of not having any caps or hats during the class time. And that player who won the game got a golden ticket to use at one lesson time, a cap or a hat during the lesson time. And the students went nuts for the game. They really want to win it, because it also made them sort of a king or a queen of the class for that 1 hour, because they were allowed to use the hat that was normally not allowed. So awards can make this extrinsic motivation for sticking on with the topic, and then maybe then the intrinsic motivation will also spark for the student.
Excellent. And I think this kind of thing, badges and awards, they work for people of all ages, but especially for young learners. Like, I've been watching my own daughter play some video games, and then she proudly shows me, "Oh, Dad, I already have 3 stars. I already have 4 stars." And sometimes I would think that, well, so what? What does that mean? But for her, it's something really important. She's been spending her valuable time playing that game, and the way to show that she's progressing, getting better at it, is to gain those stars, those badges, and it really motivates to continue.
Well, I'm looking at the chat. There's no help at this point, so I'm then gonna pick the points that we just mentioned. So points is one way of having a little competition in the game, which is also tied to the leaderboards and rankings. So with the leaderboards and rankings and the points, you can make this competition feeling during the game time. And this is also something that Vanessa mentioned earlier about the being addicted to the Wordle. Those of you who have played the Wordle, you know that when you are done with the word, you can see how well you have done previously. You can see if you have a streak, or how many times you have answered correctly in the second or third or fourth or fifth or sixth answer. And this is also motivating us to continue playing the game. So points and leaderboards can make this motivation, but it's not always maybe something we want. Or what do you think, Pasi?
Yeah, exactly. So all these things that we are listing here are possible game mechanics to be used in gamification, but not obligatory. They're not necessary. For example, in the Rise and Shine games, we do not use leaderboards and rankings. Players are not playing against each other. They are having fun. They are playing with themselves, improving their own English with the games, but they're not playing against anybody else. So that's why we don't use leaderboards. So nobody's upset if they are not at the top. But often in gamification, leaderboards and rankings can act as a motivational factor. Everybody wants to be as close to the top of the rankings as possible. Nobody likes losing.
Yeah, and I mean, we are gonna still tick some more of these game mechanics, and there are a lot of game mechanics, and you don't need to have all the game mechanics in the same game. It's like making food. When you are creating a soup or something that requires spices, you don't need to pour every bottle of spice that you have in your kitchen to make a good soup. It actually might make it even taste bad if you pour everything that you have in your kitchen. So having the right spices in a moderation is usually the best way. And that same thing applies when we are creating gamified content. So if we are doing teaching with gamification, we don't have to have everything. And if we think about Rise and Shine, why we can do without this competition part is that we have splendid storytelling in these games. We have characters that you get to know while you are playing. They are nice figures. They are children. They are like animals, and they are all doing different things. And while you are playing, you get to know these characters, and the storytelling just gets you to the flow state where you just want to know what's going to happen next, and you are actually learning and you don't even realize it because you just want to know what's going to happen next in the story.
Yeah, I think you touched on a really good point, especially for young learners. If you force them to study, they might not be interested, they not might want to do it, but once you start telling stories, young learners really get engaged. They want to participate, they want to find out what's happening next. When you start playing games, again, you might have the same exercise in a game format or traditional book or something like that. The game will really get the interest of the young learners, and they want to participate, and they will be learning without noticing while having fun.
Yeah. Then there's, I noticed that there's a Katerina in the chat who mentioned levels. So I'm going to agree with the levels part. Levels is definitely one way of showing your progress throughout the game. When you are, if you think about playing games compared to the real life, in real life, you don't always get feedback from outside. You don't know how you are progressing with different things. And with games, these levels make it visualized. So you know all the time how you are doing, if you are at the start of the level or if you are nearing the end or what you have achieved already. It's a visually way of showing how much you have progressed throughout this moment. And this levels is a really common thing. If you think about marketing, you have these customer loyalty programs where we are getting levels and points when we are consuming things. Or if we are thinking about airlines, we are buying tickets. We are always given these numbers and levels, and it's basically setting us a goal to achieve, and then we are really engaged to do it. And we don't even probably realize that we are engaged to consume more, to use more money. So that's been used in marketing. And now we are bringing this same thing also to the teaching part and the learning, so that we are not trying to survive the 45-minute lesson time, but instead our aim is to get to the next level, get to the end of the story. So we are moving the objective of the student to something productive instead of just surviving the class time. So that's also why I think gamification really works.
Very good. And I think you already mentioned immediate feedback. So I'm going to click that here as well. And let's send.
Yeah, let's go with this.
maximum
we
points
got the
again.
full points.
Well done. And here there's also comments related to this answer that you gave. Had you answered something wrong, there might be feedback for you to know why did you make a mistake, where could you find the correct information. So inside games, making a mistake is also a possible learning moment.
Yeah, sometimes making mistakes is the best way of learning, because that's the only places where you can improve yourself is when you are doing something wrong. And that's the beauty of the games. You are not punished for doing something wrong. It's actually the only way of getting even better in the games. And that's why a lot of people love to play games, because they want to challenge themselves.
Yes, and when we think about the young learners as well, when you put them in an exam situation, it can be very stressful. But inside a game, you're just having fun, and making mistakes is not a big deal. It happens in games, and then you can try again, and you get better, and you get better. It's the nature of games.
And also on this topic, if we think about how usually the young students play, it's usually best to get them play as teams. So that will also improve the team working and the social aspect of the games. And also, if you are winning as a team, it feels super exciting because you all won. And if you all then lose, if you do something wrong, it's not just that one person lost and feels the shame or there's bad feelings about it, but it's a shared feeling. So we are doing things together. And this is really important with the young students, especially with the young students.
I agree. Let's have a look at the people here at Laboratory X. And you're doing really well in this game. Keep going.
Thank you.
After this task, you will already travel to the future. But before you go, let's meet some people here at the Laboratory X. This is Riku Alkio, an all-round good guy, father of 4 boys, and the founder, CEO of Seppo, the tool that is used to gamify the Pearson Rise&Shine books and this game that we're playing at the moment. But do you know what was Riku's profession before he founded Seppo? To find out, watch the short video below. And please note, the correct answer is worth 1,000 points, so it's worth paying attention.
Hello, my name is Riku. I'm the CEO of company Seppo. But I used to be a teacher in a school like this in Finland. And you know, Finland has the best education system in the world. And now we are bringing a small piece of that to Brazil as well.
And everywhere.
We are really excited to work with you. Seppo is a really easy to use tool for teachers to create educational games. Everybody's playing games. So, and have you ever thought about using them at school? Now it's possible, and you can create your own game with Seppo. You can build a game to any physical environment. You can play inside the classroom, or in the schoolyard, or in the museum, you name it. It's really easy. You don't have to know any special technical things to create a game. You can use it at all school levels and in every subject. With Seppo you can teach biology, history, languages, mathematics, physics. I mean everything. You decide what you want to teach with the game.
Olá Brasil, un abrazo. Abraço. Take it. Olá Brasil, abraço. Olá Brasil. We are really excited to start working with you. Abraço. Abraço. Abraço.
So thanks for that, Riku. And Santeri, did you pay attention? The question is, before creating Seppo, what was Riku's profession? Was he a scientist, a football player, a teacher, or an IT manager?
Well, I can certainly rule out the IT manager away from this because even though I'm the head of our training and game production, I am also sometimes a personal IT tech aide for our CEO when he is having something scramble in his computer. So definitely not an IT manager. Scientist, well, Riku has this crazy scientist feeling sometimes, but he wasn't a scientist before. And his football is decent, but he is better at watching it than playing, I'm sure of that. So I'm gonna go with a teacher.
All right, let's type in teacher as your answer. And just a point as well about this video, Riku talked a lot about teachers creating their own games. And indeed, Seppo can be used in this way. But in the Rise&Shine series, all the games are ready-made. So the teachers don't have to do any editing or anything like that. Simply give the code for their students, and they're good to go and start playing.
Yeah, and they are really easy to use. As I mentioned, if I'm working as an IT aide for our CEO, it means that you don't have to be a technical whiz kid to be able to play these games or create these games. So it's really easy to use for everyone.
So we met some people here at Laboratory X, and it's really great to see you too here together with us, people watching this webinar. And to register your visit, take a selfie and send it to us. So this is an example that inside the Seppo games, we can interact with the real world with these kinds of exercises. And with the young learners with using a Rise&Shine series, we also use this kind of exercises. We could ask them to look for something red in your house and take a picture. Maybe draw something, take a picture of the drawing and send that as the answer.
Or if you are doing something like drilling some words like adjectives, instead of doing 50 drilling exercises, why make it only 30? But instead of just writing them down, you can take pictures. Like, how would it look if you want to take a picture of fast, faster, and fastest? Like, how would it look? And this will make a really memorable experience for the students as well.
Yeah, or take a selfie with a happy face, take a selfie with a sad face. All kinds of possibilities come with this kind of exercise.
Yeah, and this is also tied for the future skills, because if we are thinking these mobile devices we are using, they are part of this world at the moment, and we can't really escape it. It's just what's used everywhere. And if we enable the students to use these devices in a productive manner and not just for the enjoyment, we are also teaching them valuable ways of using these devices, because students know how to get to the TikToks and play some video games with this, but we as teachers, as educators, need to also show the productive ways of using the devices.
That's right. And look at what's happened, Santeri. We've arrived in the future.
Oh,
well
nice.
done. We are already on the 3rd level of the game, going super well. Let's click on the first exercise on this level, which is about the benefits of gamification. Welcome to the future. Here you will learn about the benefits of gamification and about the Pearson Rise&Shine series. But first, here's a short list of what you can gamify. You can gamify individual classes, or any subject and age, entire courses. I've seen some games that last months, maybe the entire semester, for example. You can gamify assessments and exams, and think about what's the difference if a teacher says to his or her group that tomorrow we'll have an exam, or tomorrow we're going to play a game. Which one is going to excite the students? Which one is going to cause stress for the young learners? And you can put exactly the same questions, exactly the same exercises, tasks in different formats. One is fun and one is stressful, or at least not so much fun. You can gamify events, whether it's online or in person. Some schools gamify, for example, science fairs or some kind of celebrations. Mother's Day, Father's Day can be gamified. Give some points for visiting different rooms in the school. Have some activities where The families visiting the school have to interact with the teachers, with the students, makes the whole day and event so much more fun and engaging.
Yeah, and can I interrupt in
Please.
here, because what we are talking about today and showing is a technical way of using gamification, but gamification in itself doesn't require any technical solutions. It's just it's probably making it a bit easier and convenient to use different mechanics. But if you think about really common ways of gamification in the classroom, I know that a lot of teachers, at least here in Finland, that I have met, have done for young students this, for example, gamifying, getting better behavior at the class. So I heard this example of having a glass jar in the classroom, and the teacher said that every time somebody answers correctly in the class, they get this little pebble to the jar, and when the jar is full, they will get some surprise. And the students were really eager to know what the surprise was, so they were trying to answer correctly and trying to behave better. So this doesn't require any technological thing. You just need to have some container and something to put in there. But there's also mentioned the homework. For example, if usually homework is something to be done home, and when you come back to the class, what is the thing? If you haven't done the homework, are you getting the stick, or should you be getting the carrot when you have done it? And a lot of teachers are, for example, with the 7 and 8-year-olds giving stickers or stamps to some stamp collection paper if they have done their homework correctly and, well, at least even tried to do them. So it's always about setting the goals and achieving them. And usually the carrot is better than the stick.
Absolutely, I agree with you. You can gamify school books like the Rise&Shine series, and of course, these games could be given as homework. You can gamify student projects. Students themselves could be creating games. But let's then have a look at the many benefits of gamification. Because gamification really brings many benefits to education, as well as for corporate training, for example. And here are our top 10 benefits of gamification. 1, motivation. 2, engagement. 3, personalizing the learning experience. So you can have games where, depending on the answer, students go into different directions. So maybe if you get the answer correct, you can move forward faster in the game. These kind of things. Number 4, mobility. Anywhere can be a place of learning. As you mentioned, mobile phones we have in our pockets, and we can learn in the bus, at home, in a park, and not only at school. Autonomy and creativity. I think this is something very important. So the students are no longer just listening passively what the teacher is saying, but they are taking an active role, independently learning, using creativity, using different ways to answer questions. These are the kind of skills that the students also need when they grow up. Again, coming back to the future skills that we've talked about. Number 6, having fun. The objective of gamification is to achieve an objective in the real world, often education, but you really do need to have fun along the way as well. Otherwise, it's simply not going to work. Teamwork. I think we agree that the best games are played in groups, and this is one of those other future skills that all the children really need to work on. As young as you can start learning to work and collaborate with other people, the better it is. It's something that you're going to need once you enter the world of work, or even when you go to university and things like this. So teamwork is important part and benefit of gamification. Healthy competition, we talked about this earlier, that it can act as a motivational factor, but it's not an obligatory part of gamification. You can do it without competition, like the Rise&Shine series. There's no rankings, there's no leaderboards. Everybody is simply having fun and learning without even noticing. Use of technology, we talked about that. And interdisciplinary studies. You can mix a teacher, English teacher with math teacher, with science teacher, with a music teacher, and together they would create a game, and that works super well. All right, so watch this short video to see which two of the many benefits of gamification are the most important to me. So let's have a look. This is about 1 minute long. Then you can answer the next exercise.
Using gamification brings many benefits for education and corporate training. Here are my top 10 tips of the benefits of gamification. Increased motivation, increased engagement, personalizing the learning experience, using any place as the place of study, not just the classroom or the office, increased autonomy and creativity, having fun while learning, increasing collaboration between students or employees, healthy competition, using technology, mixing different subject matters into one activity, and finally, the last one, improving results, be it education or corporate training. There are studies that show that the engagement and motivation improve results. There are other studies that show that gamification increases motivation and engagement. 1 + 1 is 2. Gamification improves results. But what about you? What do you think are the main benefits of gamification? What's most important for you? I'd like to hear.
Okay, before I ask you to answer this, Santeri, I will just make a quick point that here we had a list of the benefits of gamification in a written form. And then basically, I said the same things in a video format. And like any English teacher watching us knows, repetition is very important part of learning. And it can be a challenge, especially for young learners, to keep repeating the same thing. It gets boring really quick. So we have to find ways to bring the same subject matters, same vocabulary in different ways to keep the students engaged. And in the Rise&Shine book series, we have a great variety of materials. We have the students book, activity book, we have the Seppo games. So you can reuse some of the materials. You can repeat the same types of exercises, same vocabulary, the same grammar, but in a different way. Keep it interesting. And this really helps the young learners to learn English. Would you agree with me, Santeri?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, please.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, well, I was already reading the question according to Pasi, what are the two most important benefits? I actually didn't pay attention to your video, so I have to now wing it and think about, do we think the similar way? And I would personally choose engagement and motivation. And I think, Pasi, you would be in the same boat. And as Jonathan also said in the chat, engagement is really important with young learners. And the engagement and motivation are really tied to each other because, well, let's face it, if the student is motivated to learn the topic that we are teaching, we don't really need to do that much to keep the motivation up. Obviously, we need to keep the motivation up, but the more difficult job is with those students that don't have the motivation, the intrinsic motivation to study the topic. And that's why with gamification, we can bring this engagement for the topic that the students don't probably even realize that they are learning and they are studying at the same time. They are playing a game because they want to play the game. And this is something, this is actually, I have to, yes, my wife is not listening, so I can tell this now. Let's just keep it between us, the viewers, and here who are in the videos. My wife isn't that good with English, but we have started to play the Wordle, as mentioned earlier, and we are every day talking about the words that came up there and what they mean. and how they are formed or where they are used. And she doesn't even probably realize that we are actually studying at the same time English. So this is also my way in personal life of teaching without even realizing it. So engagement and motivation works the same way in the classroom as well, because if you don't realize it, you can't really have bad motivation to it because you are wanting to do it.
Very good, and that's a good example as well, that while you're playing the game, you're also communicating, improving communication skills. Young learners as well, both in a sort of educational setting and at home, they're playing games, they're comparing their progress in the game, they're sharing tips how to move forward to the next level. So this kind of collaboration, communication skills is something that is that they will need to develop, and games are a very good way of practicing them without even noticing that that's happening. But what do you think? People watching this webinar or playing this game on their own mobiles or computers, what are the most important benefits of gamification for you? Write or record a short video as your answer. So in the Rise and Shine series as well, we have this kind of exercises where the young learners can reply by recording a video. So they're actually using their English. The task could be, for example, talk about your favorite holiday. Where did you travel? What did you do? What was the weather like? So again, interacting with the real world. It's not just a quiz, click here, click there, testing existing knowledge, but putting the language skills that they have acquired into use inside a game. Since I'm sharing video, I'm not able to record at this moment, but those who are playing with their mobiles or computer, please do send your answers. We would love to hear from you. Okay. Well done, Santeri. 2,000 points. You're doing really well in this game.
Nice.
So let's then move on to the part about the Pearson Rise and Shine series. This is your final task before traveling back in time into ancient Egypt. Pearson has been leading the innovation of language learning games and gamification for years. Together with the Finnish company Seppo, Pearson has a number of projects, including creating games for the primary academy. And here's a link to find out more about that for those of you who are playing on your own device. And the new Rise and Shine book series. So let's have a quick introduction about what is in the Rise and Shine series.
Rise and Shine is a new English course for kids like us, curious explorers, ready to discover the world around us.
Our learning journey is signposted by 5 unique stepping stones that support us throughout our adventure, all packed with exciting stories, fun games, and friendly characters.
Together, we start our journey with wonder. Here, we spark our imagination with fun activities and games. Meet Bruno, one of our helpers who supports us along the way.
The next step is Imagine. This is where we explore a world of stories that encourages us to think creatively and critically about the world around us.
Then we jump into Build. Here we improve our communication skills and learn to solve problems working together. With interactive games and songs, learning is so easy.
Our development never stops. We learn about communities and cultures with real-world stories and videos with Grow. This helps our understanding of the wider world and social responsibility. It's amazing what we discover.
The last stepping stone is Shine, which is one of our favourites. We get to share what we have learnt with our classroom friends, which can be scary sometimes.
But we all support and encourage each other, which is fun. Rise and Shine empowers every child to reach their potential and shine. Find out more at pearsonenglish.com/rise-and-shine.
So that was a quick introduction for the series. And like Donatella mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, I have over 10 years of experience as an English teacher. And I can tell that this series is just fantastic. I absolutely love it. It's so varied. There's so much different kinds of materials, so diverse in terms of the characters from different backgrounds, different ages. We have these games that are innovative, really fantastic series. I'm so proud to play a small part in gamifying the books. So below are some example exercises from the Rise and Shine Seppo games.
I'm getting anxious here. Do I get this right?
Let's see. So first one comes from Rise and Shine Level 2 game called Red Pen is the name of the game. Level 2, of course, children are still pretty young. They don't have much vocabulary yet. They don't know much English, so it's pretty simple, but fun, of course. Here is one of the characters that appears in the book as well. This is Clara. Look at her things. So the exercise would then be a vocabulary exercise on these words. So Santeri, do you think you can practice? What's this blue object?
I think that has to be a cap.
All right. What about the next one, this red object over here?
That is glasses.
Okay. And this yellow?
Scarf or belt. Let me think about it. Yeah, it has to be a scarf.
Okay, let's go with that. And this brown
then it's only reminding it's a belt.
Very good. And actually, I also want to show a little bit more about this this particular game, Red Pen from level 2. I'm going to jump into another browser. Santeri, can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Good. So I left open this game I was playing earlier. Again, we use these 360-degree images, as in all the Rise and Shine Seppo games. And one of the things that is different from the game that we're playing today in this webinar and in the Rise and Shine series games is that in our game, we use the story of time travel and things like this. We created this because our audience today is adults, but for young learners, we really want to keep things in the kind of context that is familiar with them, like a school setting we have in this game. Let's open one example. Welcome, Clara. We have pictures and images from the actual book series. So this is familiar for the students who are already using the Rise and Shine series. We have some audio to listen, videos, animations, really varied kinds of exercises. Another vocabulary exercise, what rucksack, what kind of objects would you have inside a rucksack? The student would need to fulfill a couple of tasks, and then they would advance from school to a home setting. Again, something familiar with them in a real world setting, not a fantasy world. So this is the kind of a bit of an example of what are the Rise and Shine games like. So, Santeri, I think you answered correctly. Let's have a look at some of the other games or example exercises from different levels. This is from level 5, a game called Travel Diary. So at level 5, the young learners are already a bit more advanced in terms of their English skills. So we can use storytelling in a different way. It can be more complex. So here, of course, it's a little bit out of context today because we only have one exercise, but it's about different festivals and celebrations and the story inside this task is. Finally, they reach the center of the town. There's a parade and a band is playing. Sam, one of the characters from level 5, Rise and Shine series, asks, why are they having a parade? And Alex, another character from the same series, familiar for the children, studying this at this level, answers, it's an international festival celebrating the beginning of spring. It's a small town, but in the parade, you can see people representing many different countries. So here the storyline is continuing, and then there's a video which is related to the same theme.
Rise and shine, let's learn and play.
Spring is a special time of year. There's new life and many celebrations around the world. Let's explore.
And one of the things that I love about the Rise&Shine series is that the quality of the videos, animations is just amazing. I don't remember any other English series for young learners with such high quality materials. So well done to everyone who's been involved in the team creating this series. Very, very impressed. So I didn't give you a chance to watch the entire video, Santeri, but take a guess, which countries' spring celebrations does the video talk about?
Well, this is a difficult one, so I have to go with Japan.
Okay. And in this exercise type, you could actually click more than one answer as your more than one option as your answer. Do you want to stick with just Japan or?
Yes, let's stick with just Japan.
Very good.
All the eggs in one basket.
Yes. A third example from a different level of Rise&Shine games, this time from level 6, a game called The Box. So here we have another character. As the children grow up, they go from animated characters into real persons like this one. There's audios, videos, all kinds of materials. So this is what the Rise&Shine games look like, giving you a brief introduction. And here we are. We've managed to fulfill the task and return to ancient Egypt. Well done, Santeri.
Thank you.
And there's just one more exercise for those who are playing at home with your own devices. Well done. You made it back to ancient Egypt. What an adventure it was. Please tell Pedro Sinuheb all that you learned about gamification. And tell us what you thought about this gamified webinar. I would love to hear from you. Did you like the format and the content? Or would you prefer sort of a PowerPoint style presentation? It's an opinion. We'd love to hear from you. You can write or record your comments and feedback below. And those of you who are playing on your own device, you could also leave your comments if you want us to get in touch with you, or if you have any questions, want more information about the Rise&Shine series or the Seppo games. You can also share this link, play.seppo.io, and this code, EE7GG1, with your colleagues. In fact, I can also show the code. If you want to grab a picture and share this with your colleagues, they can also play this game on their own after this webinar. The game is going to stay live. But I think I'm going to stop here now. And if there are any questions in the chat, we'd be happy to answer. Donatella, I'll give the word for you.
That was absolutely fantastic, and everybody really enjoyed that. And as Michael Brand from Spain says, learning about gamification through gamification is wonderful. And Michael also pointed out the wonderful immersive experience that you've given us. Now, lots of teachers are asking how they can get more information and where they can try out these wonderful games that you've created for Rise&Shine. So here, there's a QR code on this screen. If you capture it, you'll be able to get more information, and you can actually try some of the games. There are 3 games for level and more coming soon. And those are 360 online games for all levels. And 360 games, Santeri and Pasi, they're actually immersive games. Is that right? Sort of 3D?
Yes, it's the feel. You get the feeling that you are actually in the place, even though you can't walk in there, but you can still see everything, and you can zoom into whatever you want to look at. It's really immersive. Or what do you think, Pasi?
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you a chance to explore. You're taking more of an active role than some different kinds of quiz, for example, when it's just simply a question and answer.
And that'll be really important for young learners, won't it, to actually take them somewhere else, you know, out of their class or wherever they are, and, you know, into another world. So that's absolutely fantastic. So that's more about the games in Rise and Shine. The wonderful Seppo have also created some lovely games for the primary academy, for the Pearson Primary Academy. Again, if you'd like to have a look at some of those, there's a direct QR code there. And there are 10 games at different levels for primary age children, 6 to 12. And they focus on exam vocabulary, for preparing for international exams, listening and speaking. And there you can see in the picture, Ling arriving in London. So there you go.
Absolutely. And these ones as well, the Pearson team, I think led by Helen Doran, have created fantastic stories, missions and mysteries for these games that the young learners are going to love, wanting to solve, want to find out what happens at the end of the story, at the end of the mystery or mission. So it really works, and without noticing, they are learning things.
That was absolutely fantastic, and everyone is full of congratulations to you. Yes, there will be a recording, and you'll get a certificate afterwards. So, follow the QR codes to join the games. So thank you, everybody. You've been absolutely perfect timing as well, Pasi and Santeri. So wonderful. And congratulations to Gillian and her team as well on the wonderful, wonderful job with Rise and Shine. Fantastic.
Thanks a lot, everyone. And I agree that the series is simply fantastic. So I'm sure.
Nora, do you want to say something to see us out?
Yes, I just want to thank Santeri and Pasi, and it was a really informative and enjoyable webinar. And thanks for the teacher who are interested in the series, and I can see your comments. And thank you, many thanks.